vice president and the prolongation of the mandate of municipal councillors and members of the National Assembly. Mwambo William tells us more in this report.
The Parliament of Cameroon started meeting in Congress today, April 6, 2026, at the Port Glass House in Yaoundé, amidst a complex socio-political landscape. The gathering, to be attended by the members of the National Assembly, the Senate, aims to discuss constitutional changes, including modifying duration and modalities of the state officials' mandate and potentially introducing a vice president position. The meeting comes as the country faces heightened expectations and tensions following President Paul Biya's elections in the 2025 presidential election. The proposed changes have sparked debate, opposition parties expressing concern over the government's intentions and the potential impact on democracy. The dominance of the PDM party in decision-making is all under scrutiny, with critics arguing that it could consolidate power and limit opposition voices. Adding to the gravity of the situation, the Congress is taking place amidst the recent passing of several members of the National Assembly and the Senate. The implications of these changes are far-reaching, potentially affecting the country's democratic process, electoral color, and governance structure. As the nation watches, one thing is clear: this Congress has the potential to shape Cameroon's future. So then, as Right Honorable Theodore Datuo sits on the throne as chair of the press, one thing should be clear: conscience for country and peace work further.
Constitutional amendment is not an everyday affair in every nation. Cameroon is not an exception. Since independence in the year 1960s, Cameroon has had a few attempts on changing some sections of the constitution. Royal TV's Mwambo William on it.
Cameroon has undergone significant constitutional changes since gaining independence. The country's first constitution was adopted on January 1, 1960, which could be described as the independence constitution, and was heavily influenced by French models with Amadou Diallo as first president. In 1961, the federal constitution was adopted following the merger of the two Cameroons, that is, La République du Cameroun and the British Southern Cameroon, leading to the creation of a federal system with the powerful Amadou Diallo maintained as president. Then came the 1972 Unification Constitution, where the federal system was abolished and a unitary state was established under the strongman President Amadou Diallo. In the 1990s, following the reintroduction of multi-parties in Cameroon due to the shaking political landscape, there was the 1996 Constitution Amendment introducing decentralization, called it a semi-autonomous regional system, reorganizing linguistic and cultural diversity and establishing a bicameral parliament, that is, the National Assembly and Senate. The 2008 Constitutional Amendment can't be forgotten, which could be referred to as Presidential Constitutional Amendment, which removed presidential term limit, making it indefinite and moving it from 5 to 7 years, allowing President Paul Biya to seek re-elections. The constitution changes, which aimed to consolidate power, address regional tension, and promote economic development. However, critics argue that these changes have undermined democracy and perpetrated authoritarian rule. These constitutional amendments have affected the socio-political landscape as Anglophone regions have experienced fears of exclusion, leading to demand for federalism or independence. Also, our elections contests as disputed elections have fueled tensions and undermined trust in government institutions. Not to forget the civil society and politicians who complain of government restriction policy, which has limited their activity and voices. As the makers of law, call them law soldiers, sit in Congress. The Commander-in-Chief, Right Honorable Theodore, backed by Right Honorable Senator Abubakari Abdullahi, should be conscious that they are under the judgment of about 10 million Cameroonians.
On to other news, Cameroon joins the rest of the world today, April 2, to commemorate World Autism Awareness Day. The day is observed to highlight the importance of promoting the rights, acceptance and inclusion of autistic individuals into our communities. Natalie Njuma has the details.
The day, observed annually every April to promote the rights, acceptance and inclusion of persons living with autism. The day focuses on fostering global awareness, understanding and celebrating the contributions of the over 70 million autistic people worldwide. This year's World Autism Awareness Day is commemorated on the theme Autism Humanity. Every life has value, at which raises calls to move beyond stigma and recognize the inherent value of autistic individuals, moving from mere awareness towards acceptance. In Cameroon, experts have highlighted that autism comes with many social misconceptions and is perceived as witchcraft or curse, as those on the spectrum face heights of abandonment, abuse and neglect. In the Southwest region, social experts have revealed that families, due to lack of education, believe children with autism are possessed, leading to social exclusion, neglect, or violent attempts to cure them. Families frequently hide autistic children at home to fear of gossip and in turn society scrutiny and denial. Despite the challenges, the increasing advocacy specialized centers exist across the region, offering adequate care to persons living with autism. Meantime, the experts have called for an urgent need for more diagnostic facilities, trained specialists and community awareness to improve the quality of life for autistic individuals and their families. Also, efforts to combat the stigma are ongoing, with advocates and specialized teachers strive to educate communities and promote inclusion, emphasizing that these children require specialized educational attention rather than ostracization.
On to religion on news, His Lordship Michael Bibi of the Boya Diocese has called Catholic faithful on the sacraments of penance in a recent outing that took place in Boya, southwest region of Cameroon. During the Mass, he underscored that the Lenten season is a solemn time for intro and retrospection plus spiritual renewal. Bishop Michael Bibi further used the occasion to invite the worshippers to take out time to reflect on their actions while also acknowledging areas where they have fallen short of God's glory so as to seek the Lord's forgiveness. His Lordship did not only share wisdom on the transformation of the body, mind and spirit, but he equally guided the congregants towards a deeper understanding of God's mercy. In his opinion, it endures forever, reason why people must always run to God for peace and safety. Take a listen.
The Catechism of the Catholic Church did treat this sacrament of penance for paragraph 1422 to 1498. And it defines confession like a sacrament of healing. For inside the church, we get two sacraments of healing. We get a sacrament for confession, and we get a sacrament for the anointing of the sick. And the two sacraments, the way the church will call them, saying that the sacraments of healing. And because sin, it causes a spiritual wound for inside with soul. Now, not why that way we need the sacrament for confession be like medicine, or they take them to heal that spiritual wound where it is for inside we had. And the catechism will clarify. So the sacrament of confession is not being a human intervention, but not an authority where Jesus Christ is himself, he been forgiven them. Then after having the power for the apostles, them make the apostles them forgive sins.
The just ended month of March dedicated to women have been celebrated by a community-driven organization recently in Limbe. The organization, known as the Working Women's Circle, organized a high tea party to acknowledge women dubbed Give and Gain. Natalie Juma tells us more.
The women converged on the seaside resort town of Limbe for the high tea party, an event to share their experiences and expertise, as well as foster connections and collaborations, support mental health and wellness. The high tea party was characterized with elegance and empowerment, where the various guests uplifted, inspired and amplified their voices for community development. The event celebrated women's achievement, sparked meaningful conversation and planted seeds for brighter future. According to the organizer, Karincha, the goal is to empower women for them to give back to their communities. She added that the Working Sister Circles mentors and orientate young women, carry out philanthropic activities through supporting education and health campaigns.
Working Women's Circle was born in 2016 as a community organization, and after 5 years it evolved into a non-governmental organization with a mission to empower women and to give back the community. We have done just that for over a decade. We help young women and girls to live a happier balance, and if you feel like we mentor, coach, orientate young women in the community, and we carry out philanthropic activities by supporting education campaigns, back to school campaigns, for supporting health initiatives in the community.
The high tea party saw the presence of influential women like Professor Therese Shalom Chombe, who congratulated the women for coming together to help assume their responsibility in the communities.
What I thought was that the shift this year for women, International Women's Day celebration was very important, and these women took a bold step to do what they are doing today, and I thought that it would be good to discuss with them the depth of what give and gain means, and to say that what they are doing is going back our African tradition of collaborative, collective activities, which was our philosophy of to help women assume their responsibility in our communities, because women are the custodians of our culture, and women are the managers of our environment. If you don't empower them, then you will lose an important element that will contribute to sustainable development and that will contribute to the growth of our nation. We know that they are also carers, they are mothers too. So I reiterated the fact that most of we are talking about women, we don't even know who they are. We don't know their interests, we don't know their needs. So what these women are doing, give them an opportunity to create committees whereby through the participation with the women in these various communities, they will address their needs, they will address their interests, thereby engaging them, empowering them so that they can know who they are, their identity, their self-esteem, and it will help them see to the growth of our environment.
Meantime, for nearly a decade, the Working Women's Circle has championed women's empowerment and community development through impactful initiatives. This year's theme, Give Gain, highlights the transformative power of women as givers, not just receivers. The event ended with award of certificates to various participants.
Changing lives.
Working Women's Circle.
Changing lives.
Working Women's Circle.
Changing lives.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to News Hour on Royal Television. We broadcast live from Boya. We want to take you out of the country now. Over 13 persons are reported to have been killed by a series of powerful explosions at an ammunition depot in Bujumbura, Burundi. Plus, a new law has been enacted in Senegal by its president, President Faye, stating a 10-year increase in the maximum prison term for persons caught in the acts of same-sex couples relationship. Details with Natalie Njoma.
At least 13 people were killed and dozens others wounded by a series of powerful explosions at an ammunition depot in Burundi's largest capital, Bujumbura. According to Burundi Army, at least 57 people, including 3 soldiers, were wounded. Houses and private vehicles were damaged while military equipment and facilities were destroyed by the blast. According to an army spokesman, the explosion erupted recently at the facility located in the suburb of Musaga and were caused by an electric fault. Numerous inmates at the Bima Central Prison in Burundi, which is located near the ammunition store, are reported to have been injured as a result of the blast. In the northeastern neighborhood of Gisandema, sources reported that a bomb had destroyed a house and killed a domestic worker. The army offered condolences to bereaved families and sympathy to the wounded and urged Burundians to be calm and report any form of unexploded bombs. Authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo declared Wednesday, April 1st, as a public holiday after the national football team qualified for their first time for the World Cup in 52 years. The Leopards of DR Congo reached the finals on Tuesday when Azel Touze's extra time goal gave them a 1-0 win over Jamaica in the playoff. DR Congo's Ministry of Labor and Employment said that as a result of historic victory, the nation could have the day off work to celebrate in unity, fervor, and national pride. The Central African nation has only played in World Cup once before in 1924 when the country was named Zaire. Numerous employers honor the holiday on Wednesday, with many banks and shops shut throughout the day in its capital, Kinshasa. Meantime, DR Congo will also play Colombia and Uzbekistan in the group stages of the FIFA 2026 World Cup. DR Congo are the 10th African nation to reach this year's expanded World Cup finals, jointly hosted by the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Senegal's President Bassirou Diomaye Faye has signed a new law doubling to 10 years the maximum prison term for sexual acts by same-sex couples. The new law also criminalizes the promotion of homosexuality, which includes any public representation and financial support by individuals or organizations, and provides for 3 to 7 years prison for those found guilty. The legislation was a campaign promise of President Faye and Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko and was approved by Parliament last month. The United Nations official and rights groups have urged the president not to sign it into law, but the government dismissed the international criticism, argued that the measures reflected the views of Senegalese people. It was taken to Parliament after a wave of arrests over alleged same-sex relationships, which were already banned under Senegalese law. In February, several African countries like Ghana and Burkina Faso have also introduced tough new laws against LGBTQ community in recent years.
And on sports, with the first phase of the Southwest Regional League coming to an end, teams continue to secure points to maintain their position in the league. The match day 4 fixtures slated for this weekend will see teams play in Kumba, Boya, and Limbe. Nguni Sonita takes a look at match day 4 fixtures of the Southwest Regional League and now reports.
After 3 match days in the Southwest Regional League for the 2025-2026 football season, the first round of the competition is gradually drawing to a close. All 23 teams are intensifying efforts to secure vital points, both to maintain their standing in the championship and to qualify for the mini-impo's coming second phase. Match day 4 is scheduled for this weekend across Boya, Mutengene, Limbe, Tombela, and Mba. Ates will face Al Jazeera Sports Academy, while Destiny Restoration takes on Boya City Football Club. In Limbe, Best Stars will square off against Boya United, and Alex Paul will battle with Dream Team, with both fixtures set for the Limbe Middle Farm Stadium. Elsewhere, Mutangene will host the clash between Rising Stars and Talented FA, while in Tombell, APFA will go head-to-head with Future Dreams. On Sunday, April 5, Waspito hosts Man United at the GBS School Field, while Legend FA lock horns with Kumba Lakers. Away from the regional league, the MTN 8 Championship resumes the weekend with matchday 8 fixtures. B leaders Kumba City Football Club will be on the road against Bafo United at the Bamenda Proximity Stadium. Meanwhile, Southwest representatives in the MTN Elite 1 Championship, Victoria United will host Canon Sportif of Yaoundé at the Ngemi Sports Stadium.
Many thanks, Ngunyi Sonita. Let's now meet our guest on News Art today. With the numerous rape cases recorded in Cameroon, Royal Television had a chat with barrister Anochie Lionel in regards to what the law says about rape. Barrister is our guest on News Art today. We'll start by asking him what rape is and, as a legal practitioner, what he thinks accounts for the incessant rise in rape cases.
First of all, we know that our law of Cameroon punishes rape. And in the context of the Cameroon Penal Code, we look at section 296. Rape is whoever, by force or moral accident, compel someone that is below or above puberty age. Now, when the legislature is saying this, because many people have the pretext that rape is you cannot be an adult. But now, before the legislature making this statement that someone that's below or above the age of puberty, meaning that an adult can be raped and a minor can be raped. Now we're looking at rape. We are saying that there is no consent given. And issues of rape, how we call, there will be coercive, there will be is force, and there will be threats, and all those things will amount to rape. And it's an offense that is punishable even in the international instrument, punish rape also. We have the Africa Charter law that punishes rape. That about rape is talk about protection of a child. And those international instruments are there to protect the welfare of children. Now we have issues of the aggravating circumstances of rape. When we are looking at the aggravating circumstances of rape, it occurs when the child is below the age of 16. From 16 is an aggravating. When it's a minor, it will be an aggravating situation. And when also the person is authority, for instance, a clergyman, a teacher, a doctor, a person under authority, it will cause it to be aggravated. And also, when there is a use of violence can be threat, it can be a weapon. So this will amount to the aggravating circumstances of rape. And the legislature make it clearly that offense of rape under section 296 of the Penal Code, we have the imprisonment from 5 to 10 years. And when it's an aggravating circumstances, the punishment is from 10 years to 20 years. Now, many people are being confused about rape and indecency to minor. And we have offenses like indecency to minor, which is what, especially in our community. We look around the recent things that happened in Yaoundé. A child was a minor, a child was the age of 11 years, and this is a heinous crime. And when we are looking at indecency to minor, indecency to minor does not mean that there must be actual penetration. Because with rape, there is actual penetration. But with indecency to minor under the Penal Code, under section 347 of the Penal Code, it makes us to understand that when an adult is performing a sexual activity in front of a minor. What are those sexual activities? Maybe you ask a minor to be touching your penis. That is an indecency to minor. We have cases that when you are exposing a minor to pornographic movies, those are indecency to minor. And indecency to minor must not be actual penetration. And for a case of penetration for a minor, that will be an indecency to minor accompanied with rape. Such an offense, the punishment is from 10 years to 3 years above. But for situation that the person can be a guardian over the child, it can also lead to an aggravated circumstance. The person can have a lifetime imprisonment.
All right, Barrister, that said, would you say that civil society organizations are not doing enough sensitization to clear the air to curb the issue of rape? And what is the legal implications of rape?
First of all, we know that the law of Cameroon punishes rape. And in the context of the Cameroon Penal Code, we look at section 296. It says rape is whoever by force or moral accident compel someone that is below or above puberty age. And when the legislation is saying this, because many people have the test that rape is you cannot rape an adult. But now, before the legislation making this statement that someone that is below or above the age of puberty, meaning that an adult can be raped and a minor can be raped. Now we are looking at rape. With rape, we are saying that there's no consent given, and issues of rape will have what we call, there will be coercive, there will be force, there will be threat, and all those things will count to rape. And it's offense that is punishable even in our international instrument, punish rape also. We have the Africa Charter law that punishes rape, that talk about rape is talk about the protection of a child. And those international instruments are there to protect the welfare of children. Now we have issues of the aggravating circumstances of rape. When we are looking at the aggravating circumstances of rape, it occurs when the child is below the age of 16. From 16 is an aggravating. When it's a minor, it will be an aggravating situation. And when also the person is an authority, for instance, a clergyman, a teacher, a doctor, a person under authority, it will cause to be aggravated. And also, when there is a use of violence can be threat, it can be a weapon. So this will amount to the aggravating circumstances of it. And the legislation make it clear that offences of under section 296 of the Penal Code, we have the imprisonment from 5 to 10 years. And when it's an aggravating circumstances, the punishment is from 10 years to 20 years. Now, many people are being accused about rape and indecency to minor. And we have offenses like indecency to minor, which is rampant, especially in our community. We look around the recent case that happened in Yaoundé. The child was a minor. The child was the age of 11 years, and that is a heinous crime. And when we are looking at indecency to minor does not mean that there must be actual penetration. Because with rape, there is actual penetration. But with indecency to minor under the Penal Code, under section 347 of the Penal Code, it makes us to understand that when an adult is performing a sexual activity in front of a minor, what are those sexual activities? maybe you ask a minor to touching your penis. It's an indecent to minor. We have cases that when you are exposing a minor to pornographic movies, those are indecent to minor. And indecent to minor must not be actual penetration. And for a case of penetration for a minor, that will be an indecent to minor accompanied with rape.
Barrister Anoji, they're talking about the legal implications to rape, but then he has a take-home message for viewers and listeners of News Art today. He has this message and words of encouragement to survivors and other community members.
First of all, you know our law of Cameroon punishes rape. And in the context of the Cameroon Penal Code, we look at section 296. They say rape is whoever, by force or moral ascendancy, compel someone that is below or above puberty age. Now, when the legislation is saying this, because people have the pretext that rape is, you know, rape an adult. Now, before the legislation making this statement that someone that is below or above the age of puberty, meaning that an adult can be raped and a minor can be raped. Now we are looking at rape. With rape, we are saying that there is no consent given, and issues of rape will have what we call, there will be coercive, there will be is force, and there will be threat, and all those things will amount to rape, and it's an offense that is punishable even in our international instrument punish rape also. We have the Africa Charter law that punishes rape, that talk about rape is talk about the protection of a child, and those international instruments are there to protect the welfare of children. Now we have issues of the aggravating circumstances of rape. When we are looking at the aggravating circumstances, rape occur when the child is below the age of 16. From 16 is an aggravating. When it's a minor, it will be an aggravating situation. And when also the person is an authority, for instance, the children that way, because of the road that we have, times traveling there, it become an issue. Realize that communication also is another factor which is affecting the spread of social information. And we are saying that, and we are praying that if the state of Cameroon can also facilitate by trying to access transportation and communication that can reach in those suburbs, because when you go to those suburbs, these offenses are rampant. They are rampant because some of these our civil society, some of these human rights activists, some of these human rights, some of the human organizations, they don't have the means to reach there because the roads are bad. So if the state of Cameroon can try as much to see how they...
Barrister Anoji Lionel there, our guest on News Art today. Thank you so much for the insights you've given us regarding rape, its legal implications, and this message you gave to survivors and encouragement to community members. Thank you so much for being guest on News Art today. Ladies and gentlemen, we end News Art here. But before we leave you, a quick reminder of our top stories. We told you that Cameroon's parliament starts meeting in this Thursday, April 2, at the request of the President of the Republic. Out of Cameroon, about 13 persons appeared dead following a series of powerful explosions at an ammunition depot in Bujumbura, Burundi. And in sports, with the first phase of the South Regional League coming to an end, teams continue to secure points to maintain their position in the league. And we had our guest, Barrister Anoche Lionel, on News Hour today. News Hour has been a production of Nguni Sonita, technical assistance from David Titango, general supervision from Alaji Bubasali, and presented by me, Frida Leina. Thanks for listening, and do have a nice time.